Welcome to Bourbon Master. I'm your host, Chris Wilkie. Welcome to my lounge. Hopefully one day I'll have some shelves up here. I got my Green Bay Packers stock and a few other things in the corner. That's what my hope is. But if you look at my eyes, I've been to a cigar bar this evening. So ignore the bloodshot eyes because they're all based upon cigars. What we're going to do first, I've got a few videos we're going to do this evening. Wearing my lovely Traverse City Whiskey Company shirt. And if you watched my last video, I went through a process of doing a tasting related to the bourbon tasting wheel here. So I'm going to do that again with Traverse City Whiskey. In the next video you'll watch, we're going to talk about my trip today that I took with the wife. And then we're going to talk about a few other things in the third video. It's a surprise. So if you want to watch this, I'm telling you, we got some good content we're putting out here. And I'm trying to do a few more videos as I get a little bit of time. You'll notice my world is up, down, up, down, up, down. So the content will be up, down, up, down. I hope to provide content on a regular basis. I hope that you guys enjoy it. So let's go to the Traverse City Whiskey. We've tried this before. If you haven't watched the video, please go watch it. It's the Traverse City XXX whiskey that is here, their bourbon straight whiskey. I think when I first tasted this, my best description I had was kind of tastes like Castle and Key. So today we're going to do a little bit different. I'm going to use the bourbon wheel to guide me, okay? So here we go. Let's take a sip. Well, let's take a smell first. You can take a smell. Take a sip. Let the tongue get acclimated just a bit. We're going to take another sip. Okay. Let's start on our lovely bourbon wheel here. First thing I taste is a little bit of sweetness. So we're going to go down the sweet category here. And I think that I'm tasting some baked goods. And baked, and I think I get a little baked. And I will say from my first original review, I think that I get a little bit of chocolate in here. Not a ton, but a little bit. Also here, I'm getting some buttery notes. And I think it's the vanilla and coffee, but I also think there's a little bit of that toffee in there. So when I'm drinking this, those are the first ones I hit on the bourbon wheel. Fruit and floral. If I'm getting anything here, I'm getting a little bit of fruit. I think I'm getting a little bit of that dried fruit, or maybe just a little bit of the apricot. If I was going tropical wise, I could say maybe just a zest of orange. I want to say lemon and orange, but it's in that ballpark. But I'm really catching some of that kind of dried apricot-y or raisiny world. It's definitely not the same two flavors, but I'm catching a little bit of that. I'm not catching a floral of potpourri or rose. So go to wood. What am I getting here? Definitely getting just a tad bit of oak. Not catching a lot of toast, so I'm going new oak there. I'm looking at the Confer with pine and cedar, maybe a little cedar. I'm not catching pine, but I am catching almond in this. So I think when my original review, I said it was kind of like wedding cake or cookie dough. I think I'm catching that almond, and I think I'm catching a little bit of that baked goods and chocolate with a little bit of cinnamon that we'll talk about here in a few. But I think that's there along with the butteriness of the vanilla and caramel. So I go into the grain. I am tasting not a lot of spice. I'm tasting some malt. And I think it's more of a cereal and corn. So I got the corn on one side and some cereal malt on the other. Not tasting a lot of wheat. I'm not tasting cocoa, but I mean, I got a little bit of that chocolate before, so I can guess it's kind of in that ballpark, but I'm not catching a lot. So in terms of spice, which is our last one, no leather, maybe a little coffee on the earthiness, no tobacco at all. If I'm looking at the aromatics, I'm catching maybe just a hint of cinnamon and a hint of clove. So that's my Traverse City whiskey review as we look at this with the bourbon wheel. So what am I catching here? So you can kind of give a rundown. I'm getting baked goods, chocolate, vanilla, some caramel, maybe a little apricot and raisin. I'm catching some new oak, a lot of almond. I'm catching a little bit of corn sweetness and a slight bit of cereal and cocoa in there. And then I'm also getting a hint of coffee along with kind of a whiff of cinnamon. So take a look at the two bourbon tastings. You got my tasting with the original notes. You get my tasting with this. this is a great comparison piece to see how a bourbon wheel can help you start narrowing down what your tasting profile is. I'm interested in seeing if I can find kind of an expanded wheel here. Again, I bought this on the American Bourbon Association, so it's kind of the tasting area that I'm going with. And it's starting to teach me a few things. And in the next few videos, I'm going to talk about my experience this evening and what I was tasting and what I enjoyed. And I think that it's interesting because I'm looking at bourbon a little bit differently. I think you can kind of see this as a growth of bourbon, growth of a taster. And I think there's a lot more to this, so stay tuned. As always, if you're out there, Ron, cheers. Bottle share coming soon. And if you're interested in bottle share, join our Facebook group, Bourbon Masters on Facebook. You're welcome to join. Join our email list. I'll send out emails with the new content updates, and also subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button. That was a John Oliver reference if you didn't know that. And ding that bell. Make sure to get all these updates when we do new videos like this. And I want to make sure that you get the content you want. So if you have questions, leave them comments below. Content ideas, leave them below. Let me know what you think. Do you think you like my desk or the chair better? Kind of leaning towards the desk, but I wanted to give just a little different perspective for a few videos. So cheers. Have a good evening.